The Dictator General. It's 2003, and Sir Alex Ferguson stands at the threshold of Old Trafford's dressing room, veins bulging, spit flying, face crimson with controlled fury. David Beckham stands frozen as a football boot cuts through the air and opens his eyebrow like a torn canvas. This was the currency of power in football's era of absolute control. The throne room became a boardroom. The dictator became a committee member forced to negotiate rather than decree. Modern football dismantled entire leadership structures that once ruled the game with iron fists, silver tongues, and unshakable conviction. This archetype didn't fade quietly into retirement. Institutional evolution simply rendered it obsolete. Mark Hughes coined a phrase that would echo through Old Trafford's corridors for decades: the hairdryer treatment. Not the gentle warmth of maternal care, but industrial-grade fury delivered at point-blank range. Ferguson's method was surgical. He'd position himself inches from a player's face and unleash verbal devastation so intense that Patrice Evra recalled being marched back off the team bus to sign autographs after the squad ignored waiting fans. Wayne Rooney described it as being scolded like schoolchildren before lifting the Premier League trophy. Even at 18, Cristiano Ronaldo wept under the Scottish volcano's eruption, with teammates reviving his childhood nickname, Crybaby. Ferguson claimed he only deployed the hairdryer 6 times in 27 years. Every player who survived his reign tells a different story. Brian Clough operated on a different frequency of control. He governed Nottingham Forest and Derby County like a benevolent tyrant who banned the local newspaper when they sacked union workers, drove past his stranded son Nigel on the motorway after a breakfast argument, then fined him for arriving late to training. Clough called himself young man to journalists, admitted he wasn't the best manager but was in the top one, and turned 2 provincial clubs with 0 European pedigree into continental champions. His first press conference at the City Ground saw him bellow at a local reporter. "Are you the local journalist? Shut your mouth and I'll see you in my office later." The room belonged to Clough within seconds. Authority was claimed through sheer gravitational force. These generals built dynasties through architectural domination of every variable. Their authority was absolute because football's infrastructure permitted monarchies. No sporting directors questioned transfer policy. No analysts challenged tactical decisions. No media officers scripted press conferences. The manager's word carried the weight of institutional law. Institutional complexity dismantled the autocrat. Today's manager navigates a labyrinth of stakeholders: performance analysts dissecting every training metric, recruitment committees overruling gut instincts, nutritionists controlling meal plans, mental health specialists managing player psychology. The decision-making pyramid inverted. Authority became collaborative negotiation. Pep Guardiola represents the evolution. He commands like a philosopher king, where players submit through intellectual belief rather than existential fear. Mourinho's early Chelsea reign was the last imperial roar before democracy arrived. The transfer market dealer. Deadline day January 2008. Harry Redknapp sits in his Range Rover outside Fratton Park, window rolled down, mobile phone permanently attached to his ear, orchestrating transfer chaos like a conductor wielding a Nokia phone instead of a baton. The fax machine inside the stadium groans under pressure. Jermaine Defoe's signature arrives at 10:47 p.m. Sully Muntari's paperwork slides through at 10:52 p.m. The clock isn't an enemy, it's an accomplice. Redknapp thrived in the lawless frontier before football became a spreadsheet religion. When Sky Sports reporter Rob Palmer called him a wheeler and dealer in 2010, Redknapp's response became legendary.
No, I'm not a wheeler and dealer. No.
The fury was real. The reputation was earned. These managers were mercenaries in the transfer trenches. Redknapp signed Peter Crouch across 3 clubs because he understood market value through instinct, not analysis. He'd spot a bargain in a reserve match, make 3 phone calls during half-time, and have contracts signed before the final whistle. When QPR owner Tony Fernandez tweeted "No more checkbook" on deadline day 2015, Redknapp resigned within hours. The dealer without his market was a gunslinger without ammunition. His entire tactical identity required freedom to gamble, flip assets, and trust gut feelings over expected goal stats. This breed operated in football's analog era, when a manager's genius manifested in car parks and hotel lobbies. They hunted bargains through personal relationships and scouting intuition. They'd mortgaged the club's financial future on a hunch about a Segunda División striker nobody else rated. Sam Allardyce built Bolton's golden era by cherry-picking undervalued foreign talent through sheer hustle. Professional specialization erased the dealer. Directors of football emerged as discrete roles with explicit authority over recruitment strategy. Transfer decisions migrated from managerial intuition to multi-departmental consensus built on quantifiable metrics. Expected assists, progressive carries, pressures per 90. The new language spoke in decimal points. Managers transitioned from squad architects to tactical implementers. Their market instincts subordinated to analytical frameworks and compliance structures. The dealer's extinction was complete. No survivors remained who operated with the autonomy that once defined the role. The one-club manager, Diego Simeone, is a temporal anomaly. A 21st-century manager operating with 1980s loyalty protocols. Since December 2011, he's patrolled Atletico Madrid's touchline through 700-plus matches, 8 trophies, financial limitations that would cripple most ambitions, and ownership changes that typically trigger managerial extinction. He embodies defiance against football's disposable culture, not through sentiment, but through excellence. Simeone's Atletico plays like a clenched fist wrapped in tactical barbed wire, because his identity is the club's identity. You cannot separate the institution from the man. At one point, this was standard operating procedure. Sir Alex Ferguson didn't manage Manchester United for 26 years by accident. He became the club's nervous system, embedding his DNA into recruitment, youth development, tactical philosophy, and institutional culture. Arsene Wenger transformed Arsenal from a drinking club into a continental power through 2 decades of ideological consistency. Guy Roux spent 44 years at Auxerre, outlasting several French presidents and countless football revolutions. These managers were architectural fixtures, not temporary employees. Their longevity granted mythological status. Removing them felt like demolishing cathedrals. Financial acceleration shattered the model. Player power exploded. Wages inflated exponentially. Ownership models globalized into private equity vehicles and sovereign wealth portfolios. The 18-month trophy cycle became industry standard. Fail to deliver immediate results, and the board replaces you with someone who promises they can. Patience became a luxury clubs couldn't afford when billions in revenue hinged on Champions League qualification. Managers went from architects to renters, occupying the dugout temporarily before inevitable eviction. The average Premier League manager now lasts 17 months. That's not enough time to build a dynasty. It's barely enough time to implement a tactical system. Yet Simeone survives, not through nostalgia or sentiment, but because he wins consistently enough to justify the investment. He's the last great megafauna in a habitat that extinguished his species. When he eventually departs, the one-club manager might truly vanish from football's elite level. Or perhaps some lower league romantic will emerge, building a provincial club into something magnificent over 20 years of obscurity. The archetype now exists beyond the financial gravity of top-tier football, exiled to lower divisions where pressure doesn't compress time itself. The Prophet. Marcelo Bielsa didn't just coach Leeds United, he delivered sermons. Training sessions lasted 3 hours because tactical perfection required theological devotion. He demanded ball progression through methodical build-up play, when Route 1 football offered easier points. He implemented pressing systems that injured players through sheer intensity, because compromise meant spiritual failure. His teams played aesthetically magnificent football that felt morally superior to pragmatic grinding. Victory was secondary to ideological purity. The philosophy mattered more than the scoreline. This breed of manager operated like missionaries, spreading tactical gospel. Bielsa's influence radiates through disciples: Maurizio Pochettino, Diego Simeone, Pep Guardiola, Gerardo Martino. All absorbed his principles at various points. Zdenek Zeman preached attacking maximalism across Italian football, demanding 5 forwards regardless of defensive vulnerability. His Roma and Lazio sides produced spectacular offensive football and catastrophic defensive records. Johan Cruyff transformed Barcelona into a footballing religion that persists decades after his departure. These prophets prioritized legacy over silverware, influence over immediate success. Financial realities extinguished the prophet. Results-based economics don't service debt or retain elite talent through moral victories. 3 consecutive trophyless seasons now trigger institutional panic, regardless of philosophical beauty. Bielsa was dismissed by Leeds after relegation, despite transforming the club's identity. Zeman's attacking principles produced gorgeous football and chronic unemployment. The modern game tolerates idealism only when accompanied by sustained competitive success. Pure philosophy without trophies became an unaffordable luxury in football's attention economy. The prophet is extinct. No manager at elite level can afford theological commitment without delivering tangible silverware. The showman. Jose Mourinho strode into Chelsea's 2004 press conference and declared himself,
"I think I'm a special one."
Strategy masquerading as arrogance. He understood that in football's attention economy, controlling the narrative was as valuable as controlling the midfield. Every press conference became a masterclass in mind games. Every headline served tactical purpose. He called Arsène Wenger a voyeur and specialist in failure. He poked eye during a heated Classico. He cupped his ear to Juventus fans after winning in Turin. This was calculated theatre designed to manipulate perception, protect players, and control football's discourse itself. The showman evolved from the dictator general's ashes. Ferguson had controlled referees through intimidating presence. Howard Webb admitted United's aura influenced decisions. Mourinho controlled perception through media manipulation. He waged psychological campaigns publicly, making journalists his personal messengers. He'd publicly criticize players to motivate them through shame. He'd praise opponents to relax their preparation. He'd create external enemies to unify dressing rooms. His original Chelsea players ran through walls because Mourinho positioned them as persecuted underdogs despite spending hundreds of millions. The man shaped reality through words. For a decade, this worked spectacularly. Mourinho won league titles in Portugal, England, Italy, and Spain. He became football's greatest showman, where charisma functioned as tactical advantage. Pre-match press conferences became battlefield extensions. He perfected psychological warfare in a way that kept opponents and papers focused on Mourinho's absurdity rather than the actual match. Media fragmentation dismantled the showman's power structure. The news cycle splintered into infinite streams. Social media democratized narrative control. A single player's Instagram post could counter an entire press conference's messaging. Younger players stopped responding to public criticism, instead leaking dressing room discord to journalists who amplified dissent. Mourinho's later Manchester United and Roma tenures exposed the archetype's fundamental obsolescence. His words still generated headlines, but headlines no longer generated tactical advantages. The ultimate showman cupped his ear to mock opponents. By the end, his own players had covered theirs. The cult builder. Jurgen Klopp arrived at Anfield and forged unity from chaos. His first press conference promised heavy metal football. Within weeks, Anfield's atmosphere intensified. Within months, players ran beyond exhaustion because belief superseded physical limitations. Within years, Liverpool won everything while playing Klopp's relentless brand of organised chaos. This transcended tactics. It became religious commitment from players and religious experience for those who watched. The doubters became believers, not through coercion, but through conviction, so infectious it spread like wildfire. Bielsa at Leeds created similar devotion. He transformed a second-tier club into a promotion machine through principles that demanded everything. Players injured themselves adhering to his pressing intensity. The city embraced him as secular saint. Simeone's Atletico Madrid operates through identical dynamics. Defiance against wealthier opponents through collective sacrifice, tactical discipline, and unwavering belief in the cause. These were movements with ideological coherence stronger than any contract clause. True cults require two scarce resources: time and trust. Klopp needed 3 years before Liverpool's system matured into Champions League winners. Bielsa required 2 seasons before Leeds achieved promotion. Simeone's Atletico took years to develop the defensive intensity that defines them today. 18-month trophy cycles don't allow faith to mature properly. 3 poor months can destroy belief faster than 3 good years built it. Boards panic. Media declares projects dead. The cult needs incubation time that football's attention economy rarely permits. Mikel Arteta represents the Archetype's industrial reinvention. Where Klopp's devotion emerged organically through charisma, Arteta reverse engineers belief through systematic ritual. He deployed industrial-grade speakers at training to simulate Anfield's hostility at maximum decibels, conditioning players to perform under acoustic warfare. He introduced psychological theatre, hiring professional pickpockets to breach team security during dinners, then exposing the theft to embed paranoia as tactical awareness. He presented a light bulb to the squad, declaring it worthless without connection, literalizing interdependence through visual metaphor. He brought a Labrador named Win to the training ground as living embodiment of institutional ambition. Each ritual serves architectural purpose, manufacturing emotional intensity through deliberate design. Arteta operates with Bielsa's zealotry filtered through Guardiola's methodological precision. Where previous cult builders relied on charismatic spontaneity, Arteta systematizes devotion. Belief became engineered rather than inspired, emotion commodified rather than channeled. The archetype survives through mutation. Passion as product, intensity as process, cult building as reproducible framework that boards can measure, fund, and replicate. That was football management's evolutionary tale. The archetypes who shaped the game before algorithms, committees, and institutional complexity forced them to adapt or perish. Some mutated into new forms, some linger in unexpected corners, some truly vanished. Which manager type do you miss most? Or are the modern mutations better? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want more deep dives into football's tactical evolution, hit subscribe.